Hello there, I am Cy, the fitness guy, and I am here with an amazing new video. I really think you're going to like this one. This is basically a response to the FreeMelon Society, that is Eli Martyr, to his video, Metabolic Mutilation, the Low Carb Diet Delusion Exposed. Now I want to start off by saying, to Eli, I really like you, Eli. I think you are for freedom. You stand for a lot of good things. Just like the vegetable police, we really represent some good things together. And you know what I'm talking about. The freedom rallies and things like that. So we are all on the same team here. But I think that Eli Martyr is a young guy. I think you're young. I think you're experiencing some things with the Fruitarian diet that I would say are not quite what you would expect to have long term. By the way though, I do think you look amazingly healthy, although a bit thin, but if you are really doing what you say you are doing with fruit, really eating as little as you say you are, then wow, it's pretty amazing you're able to get the results and that you're literally doing as good as you are. Just wanted to say that. In response to Eli Martyr, he also made another video not too long ago that I thought was arrogant, although I still respect him. And that video, he talked about how the debate was settled about plant-based eating or fruit eating versus eating animal products, and the fact that he believes so strongly that humans are frugivores with absolutely no concrete evidence, and at least as much evidence saying that we are more carnivorous. All of these things being said, let's go ahead and move forward. What I want to say is to you who are watching, and also to Eli, is that Eli is claiming that carbohydrates are the best fuel source. They may be. I'm not 100% sure whether it would be ketosis and ketones that would be our best fuel source or carbohydrates. But I do see the point that he is saying that it's like a backup system, like a generator, the ketones or the ketogenic system of our bodies versus the carbohydrate system, which burns much cleaner. I understand that point. And I'm not anti-carbohydrate as much as I don't think the jury is out on this subject. I do think that it seems that people who eat animal foods, again, especially after being any kind of vegan, including fruitarian, usually seem to experience a lot of health benefits. Although I do see some people, like Vegetable Police and other smart vegans, who are getting pretty good results on a vegan or a vegetarian diet compared to a lot of people in the world. So I want to start off with this challenge. Here's the hypothesis or the conclusion that Eli has drawn, that carbohydrates are the best and preferred fuel source for humans. Now, I get that. Let's just say that that's true. In the video I mentioned at first, Eli is speaking a lot about the fuel source, and I'm okay with that, but there's a question you are not answering, and that is, what is your building source? And how are you able to maintain muscle of any kind whatsoever without eating an abundant source of protein when all of the evidence says that protein is one of the most important macronutrients and nutrients in general, meaning that people need to get at the bare minimum enough protein. And what you are doing, eating less than 2,000 calories a day on average, Eli, is going to put you at a severe deficit of protein if you're really doing that, especially considering how low fruits are in protein. So my question is what is building us? We know carbohydrates can be a great fuel source, but what is building us? Also, I want to point out a case study, a person who has spent 7 months as a fruitarian, did blood results and muscle mass, fat composition, everything, to see how he could do in 7 months. And let's go ahead and look at what he has to say about the fruitarian diet.
General conclusion to this, based on my experience, it's very simple. Gaining muscle on a fruit-only diet is most definitely possible. However, in doing so, your body, your health, your well-being, it will deteriorate. This is if it's carried on over a long period of time. If you try to use this as a lifestyle, to really put on that muscle on this fruit diet, you have to work hard and you have to be clever with the way that you structure your training programs. There's no way you can train the same way, you know, Tom, Dick and Harry does when eating on such a restrictive diet. You know, this is no knock at any fruitarians out there, but you know, it's hard to believe it now that I've gone through it very strict and experienced it. I mean, is part of it maybe they just don't realise that they don't feel as healthy anymore? Because I can tell you now from personal experience, now I think about it, I was probably convincing myself at points like, oh no, I feel great, because I'd have people come to me like, oh, you're right, Owen, you know, you don't look too good, you look a little bit drained today. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. And I look back and I'm like, damn, I wasn't fine. I was drained at certain points.
So you see, he has good things to say about the fruitarian diet and the muscle gains he got as a fruitarian. However, you heard what he said about not feeling good as a fruitarian for this long, and he also felt better after he started adding other things besides fruit in. And then let's go to the protein question with this other vegan, Brenda Davis, and let's hear what she has to say.
I'll just continue on the protein conversation because I completely agree with everything you said, but I would simply add that I have seen a couple of instances where people aren't getting quite enough protein. And so one is in teenagers who often become very passionate about animal rights and the environment, which is a wonderful thing, but they kind of do a switch from eating burgers and fries and Coke to just eating the fries and Coke. And so they're eating an awful lot of sugar and an awful lot of fat. And on some occasions, I've seen some getting 20 to 30 grams of protein a day, and for a growing teenager, that's not enough. So they need to add in more concentrated protein sources, such as legumes and tofu and things like that, nuts and seeds and so forth. The second group, of course, we know about people not getting enough calories, like people with eating disorders. But the other group that may not get enough protein are people that are eating pretty much exclusively fruit. And some fruits have very low protein concentration. So on average, people probably need, around 10% of calories from protein, depending on the person. But many fruits are much lower than that. So it's possible in that situation, and I've seen it on a number of occasions, people doing a raw diet where it's mainly fruits, some vegetables, and a lot of oils. And in that case, they need to add more nuts and seeds. They may need to add some sprouted lentils and things like that.
Brenda, what was their phenotypic presentation? I mean, how are you diagnosing them with protein deficiency?
So what we often see in the raw food folks, I mean, in children, sometimes you just see them not
Right.
thriving as they should.
Right.
But in the other folks, we see hair loss, and this is really quite common in the raw world where people really start losing a lot of hair. Their nails aren't growing well, or they have problems with them. They have problems, skin problems. Their skin almost looks thin and weak. And so we have to remember that protein is, and we see bone loss. And I know that is a bit of a controversial subject, but of course, protein is necessary for building the matrix of bones. And so you can be too low. And in fact, there was an Adventist health study, study looking at 65,000 women that found that those eating a few legumes had a much higher rate of wrist fracture than those eating more legumes and getting more protein in their diet. So there is a sort of a level at which below you don't want to go too much below. And so working with raw food people, I have seen that. And when we add a little protein to the diet, they tend to overcome some of these issues.
So you can see that Brenda Davis, who is a vegan and who believes in vegan diets, has said that protein deficiency is common among fruitarians and that they experience things like hair loss and other symptoms which seem to improve when more protein is added into the diet. So, how do you answer that, FreeMelon Society? That's my question. All respect given. Now, let's look at tooth or teeth decay. Lots of fruitarians have come out and talked about their teeth or tooth decay. And let's just listen to this person who at least has had experience eating a lot of fruit who had teeth problems.
Because I did notice that my teeth seemed to get weaker when I was eating more and more fruits. My teeth got weaker. And so in the back, you know, like in the back, they would get chippy and they were just getting weaker, man. They seemed to rot, especially in the back. I had to get one pulled, two pulled actually. So ideally, you want to remember that if you're going all fruit, still throw some vegetables in it, because at the end of the day, you're still dealing with sugar. But we know fruits are healthy. We know fruits have micronutrients. We know fruits have a good degree of fiber. We know fruits are primarily water. We know all those things. But at the end of the day, when you're talking about tooth enamel, the erosion of the tooth enamel and the teeth not holding up, which people have complained about, fruitarians, you got to chase those fruits with some green vegetables, the celeries, the cucumbers. If you don't deal with hybrids, well, just deal with the non-hybrids. But you got to get some green in there to help keep the teeth strong. Doesn't matter what we believe in, we got to go with the facts, and these are the facts. This is the reality. Look it up for yourself. There are a lot of fruitarians, and I know a lot of fruitarians, and their teeth, just bad teeth, man. I can tell you what I'm living. I had these teeth in the back. I'm like, man, I got to get this pulled. I'm like, this, you know, you go to, when you chewing on something hard and it click and it break off, you like, damn, what's that?
Okay, so you hear what he has said, whatever the reason. Seems like teeth problems are common among fruitarians specifically. You could argue, if you just go look at vegan children or children who are being raised from vegan parents, primarily vegan, almost always seem to have teeth problems. And even though my oldest son and my second son were vegetarian at some point, they both had teeth problems when they were younger, and they were mostly vegan for a good period of their life. The only thing they were really having was a little bit of milk and cheese at some point, because we had to add that in because they had teeth problems. So what about vegan children? Aren't they deficient if they're on a fruitarian diet from what the evidence is showing just looking at kids? Okay, now let's just go ahead and bring up the super popular Durianrider. So, early years of veganism, or I should say raw food veganism, I think he said he was vegan for 3 years and he has excellent teeth. They're even better than when he started being a raw foodist. So let's look at this clip.
So another thing I was going to cover tonight is teeth, because people say, you know, if you eat a lot of fruit, you'll rot your teeth. But I've been, like I said, 100% raw vegan for over 3 years now. Before that was 4 years high raw, eating at least 50 kilos, which is about 100 something pounds of sweet fruit per week. And look at my teeth. Still got all my teeth, man. In fact, they're getting better. I used to have a lot of dental problems before I went vegan, and now it's all good, and I don't get my teeth cleaned by anyone. I haven't had any teeth surgery done at all. things like that. So this is my natural teeth, man. No cosmetic, no touch up. This is just the real deal.
So you've seen that, but I want you to compare this clip here and this clip here of Durianrider from when he said that he had good teeth as a raw fruitarian, and what's changed in this picture before he got crowns. I think it's plain to see that he has deterioration of his teeth. You could say that they weren't rotting out of his mouth, although they kind of do seem to be rotting out of his mouth in some pictures and videos that I've seen him in, but he would claim that these problems were from when he was younger and fights and different things like this, and that is a contradiction to what he says in his early on raw vegan years when he claims that his teeth were better. So now he has crowns. How do you explain what happened to his teeth? Could it have anything to do with a fruitarian diet? So now I just want to get into the subject of salt for a minute, because Eli has said that salt is a poison and that he never eats it, and that it's basically just toxic to your body on every level. However, how do you explain hyponatremia? And what about this fruitarian right here, called The Fruitarian on YouTube, who doesn't seem to have videos anymore for some reason or another, but he says that it's a serious thing for athletes, especially when they are on a fruitarian diet.
All right, this is a very important subject. It's something that will cause a lot of controversy, and there'll be lots of questions, and what I'm about to say might not answer all the questions for you, and it doesn't necessarily answer all the questions that I have myself. But I need to talk to people who are doing ultra marathons and that are trying to eat a fruitarian diet, or any diet for that matter. There's one unique issue that ultra runners experience outside of most any other sport that I've come in contact with, and that is hyponatremia. For people who don't know what that is, I'll explain it briefly. Hyponatremia is low blood sodium. You need to have a certain level of sodium and sugar and water in your blood in order to maintain homeostasis. As a fruitarian, I don't eat supplemental salt. I don't put salt on my salads. I don't put it into any on my tomatoes or anything that I eat. I get sodium from plants, from vegetables naturally. Compared to other people on a conventional diet, I eat a very low sodium diet. When I am running at a significant pace, significant effort, in heat, for a long duration, over 4 hours, I need to take supplemental salt. When I don't, I experience hyponatremia. Hyponatremia is a scary thing. It's not like hypoglycemia. It's a very unique feeling. I get quite disoriented. I feel very ill. I just feel like something's very wrong inside my body, through and through. It's hard to describe. You have to experience it for yourself. I am a fruitarian, and I take supplemental salt during ultramarathons. I have never, ever run an ultramarathon at a high level exertion and not experienced some forms of hyponatremia. I've tried celery juice, I've tried coconut water, I've tried all the natural forms of sodium in fruits and vegetables, yet it has not been enough. I need to take supplemental salt in order to complete my races and some of my intense training runs. And warn them that hyponatremia is a serious, serious issue. You can die from it. Please take supplemental salt. Don't get caught up with being a purist where you only get your sodium from celery or celery juice or greens.
So this seems to be common among fruitarians who don't have any salt. And there's at least one vegan who is a very strong fruitarian that claims that salt is very important, even though he's primarily fruitarian. I'm not thinking of his name offhand, but seems like he understands something since he is one of the strongest of the fruitarians. I personally have experienced a raw vegan diet for about 8 months straight. Now, I'm not saying it was as perfect as Eli's diet is, although it did seem to have enough calories because I was taking in some olive oils and coconut oils and avocados and nuts and seeds that were all raw and organic. I wasn't completely fruitarian, but my wife and I did that for about 8 months straight, and we did attempt to do some version of the 80-10-10 diet early on and thought that it was great on some levels. However, our teeth were very sensitive and it didn't last very long because we were actually feeling like there was going to be teeth problems, and we were kind of starving when we tried to eat that way, especially as the winter was coming in Colorado. I also want to say this just to challenge, what about all the debates? How can you say that the whole protein thing is decided upon and the whole vegan or plant-based versus meat is decided upon when there are so little people who have actually really truly been on a plant-based diet, and especially a fruitarian diet? There's so few people in the world who have done this for any period of time at all that there is truly no evidence. And what about all the counter arguments that say that we are carnivores by our biology and that we have one of the most acidic of all digestive juices in our particular digestive system that is equal to the apex predators of carnivore? What is your counter argument? Are you ignoring this, Eli? So let's just go ahead and wrap it up here. Like I said, all respect. I really do like you, Eli. I like this guy, Eli. He's a good guy. I just think that he could be a little naive, and he could be in the early stages of this whole fruitarian thing where he really hasn't experienced any teeth problems. But I think those things could be coming if he does it long term. However, I'm open to the possibility that this guy is some young, enlightened dude who is just very intelligent and has really gone beyond what most people go to. So let's continue this debate. If somebody has answers to these questions besides Eli too, please chime in on this conversation and comment below. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this video up. If you liked it, please like, subscribe, and share. I am Cy, the health and fitness guy, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.